All right, so we'll start over because we were on mute, and it was my bad. So welcome. This is Nina Perez, and we're going to do our intro again now.
Yeah.
Intro round two.
Just make it as if it was the first time.
Okay, let's do it.
So who am I? Why I talk about connection? Is that what you want me to share?
Yeah. Oh, today we're talking about connection secrets, social connection secrets, by the way. So here we go.
So my background starts with dance. I've been teaching tango and salsa and bachata for 20 years. And in my classes, you know, as you get 10, 20, 30 people per class, there are just so many different personality types and kinds of people that join dancing that I've had to learn how to connect with all types of people, how to start conversations and how to, you know, encourage people and answer their questions and so on. At the same time, I've been taking courses on personal development because I love learning and growing. And so with all of the courses where you go to places and you meet strangers and then you have to be vulnerable and talk and share your whatever you're working on, I've learned how to, oh, we have some friends here. Learn how to connect. Let's let Julie in. Yay.
This will make it less awkward now with actually another person in the room.
Yeah.
I love to see the two of you together.
Yeah,
I love it. I love the I love the way it is. I love the energy. It's just so different. It's amazing. I love it. Yeah.
Awesome.
So cool. And so this is now, so Julie, just to explain what the hell is going on, this is now going to become our like YouTube, edit this up as we need to, but on the fly fireside chat, because anyone else that signed up didn't turn up. So this is actually even better. We can just make it really casual.
Yeah.
So far we've just done intros. Julie, do you want to give a little intro while you're here as well?
Sure. Hi, my name is Julie. I'm a mindset expert, certified professional coach. I am an international best-selling author, and I just help authors, entrepreneurs, and coaches just release mindset blocks and just become the best version of themselves. So I'm just so happy to be here. And I didn't really comb my hair. We're in total lockdown here in Canada, in Ontario. So I had to run to the store, but you know, no makeup, just au natural. I mean, this is what you get on Sunday.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no. We're the same, like nothing. I haven't even.
Yeah, I have no makeup on. That's such a lie. Yeah. I mean, you don't have any makeup on?
No, I haven't even fluffed my hair.
You haven't fluffed your hair. I'm not a dating expert either, but what I feel like I'm an expert in or becoming one is in helping people to create warmer connections with each other. So how to move like a relationship in any direction, not in any direction, in any type of environment. So like a relationship with on a date or in business or a new friendship you may want to create or even with your kids. Yeah, this is that Dave's branded sneakers.
They'll come up once in a while.
Yeah. No problem. But how do you move those relationships so that they become more deepened and warmer connections? So I find that people nowadays kind of hide behind Messenger or text message or email. And so you could be spending a lot of time on that and actually not really know the person or even get a sense of who they are. And that's actually one of the things that we wanted to talk about today is how do you create warmer connections with people in all types of environments?
Yeah, completely. So what do you have first on your list?
Yeah,
that's the first one. Okay,
yeah.
Good, because that makes me think of my favorite habit of all time, which I built in about 3 or 4 years ago after the breakup of my marriage. And I can't even remember where it came from. Someone recommended it to me about just practice to get more social because I was kind of introverted and shy.
Yeah.
So practice getting more social by just saying hi to a stranger that you meet.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
Then progress it to actually try and find out something about their story.
Nice.
And then try and get as many names as you can. Like no ulterior motive. And I'm not just talking like beautiful women. I'm talking like old ladies, guys. Yeah. Everywhere I go. And I do that all the time now. And I've had the most amazing, like random conversations and experiences with strangers now. Like I remember old ladies that were talking to me for like 4 hours. And
wow. In the grocery store?
Incredible. No, it's happy hour.
It's happy hour. Nice.
But yeah, and old guys too. Like this helicopter pilot talking about his 2 cracks. crashes that we've had, and him and his wife are into like ballroom dancing, funnily enough, as well. I was coming home from a salsa lesson, probably one of yours.
Nice.
And this couple at late night happy hour. There's a theme.
There's a theme here, happy hour.
Never forget experiences like that. Those guys were amazing.
Sorry, I'm just gonna, I don't know if I should, there we go.
So yeah, long story short, just say hi is now one of my foundational habits in my life, and it's actually opened up some really amazing stories in my life.
I think that's a great habit. So like you go on a walk or whatever and you say hi, and you smile.
Yeah. Now it depends on the environment, because like right here we're in a small town and everyone will say hi to everyone. Everyone's open to it.
Right.
So I think you were talking earlier about like, before we even started, about like opening doors.
Yeah,
social doors, and that's on us, right, to be able to do that.
Totally. And so it comes down to, I think of that quote by Einstein, who said, you need to decide first of all for yourself, is this a friendly world or an unfriendly world? And I'm a mom of two little 8-year-olds. Yeah, and I want them to live in a friendly world. And so that question, you want to answer it, because how you answer that question, if it is a friendly world, you will notice friendliness everywhere. But then if it isn't a friendly world, you will notice unfriendliness anywhere. But I would say take it to the next step and create a friendly world by how you interact with people. Yeah. And so I do what you do. I go out. Actually, I do this with Gavin, and we count how many smile backs we get. So we'll go on the seawall and we'll walk hand by hand, and we'll just smile at people, and just walking, and we're just smiling at people. And then he will.
See, we got one.
Yeah, and it's automatically just want to smile back, right? And so we count our smiles. And sometimes we do that when we're driving. I'll say to Gavin, just wave to somebody in the other car and see if they wave back at you. And he just has so much fun. As well, out the window. Yeah, and it's interesting. Like women wave more than men, but even after the wave, they just keep trying to interact with Gavin in the car. They'll just like smile at him or laugh and it's so interesting. And he has a blast doing that. And then I'm sure that the other people that were touched by his friendliness will probably have a better time. Maybe they usually smile, and it's kind of nice. And so creating that kind of friendly world, it's up to us, and it's as simple as a hi or a smile is tips I would recommend. But also, like, sometimes we are standing in a lineup. Lately with COVID, there's lineups for everything, right? And even there, I start get conversations just to, without any agenda, like just for no reason. And I'll say like, oh, is this your first time here? Or has it been a long time that you're waiting, or how long, and I'll just start that, and we'll start at that. And what I try to do is I find something that is common. So we're waiting here in the lineup, so that's common for us. If it's our first time there, both of us. I was at a coffee shop the other day, and it was a croissant coffee shop, and so it's known for their croissants. Yeah. And I was meeting a friend, but they were late, and so I'm just standing there, and I'm not sure, like, should the lineup be straight or should it be around this thing that was in the middle? And so I asked, like, this is the lineup this way? Okay. And then I said to the guy in front of me, like, is this your first time here? And then he said, yes. And I'm like, oh, me too. And then we had a conversation, and it was just commonality creates connection. So finding what's similar. And I never saw that person again, but we both had a nice, pleasant moment, and we don't have to feel so disconnected or lonely, or we don't have to create, we have to create this bubble because of COVID, but we do not have to be antisocial because of COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. Many times the last few years, I've just said something really different. Like I notice these days I'm saying something different than I ever used to. Like you go in the coffee shop now, and before it would have been, hi, how's your day going? And you can tell like it's okay, but it's like the lady behind the counter or the guy behind the counter is, it's all good. How's your day? And like they start off the same time all the time, and we still do this, but now if I'm like Nina said, if I'm thinking something different, like if I notice something different, like they used to have Baileys on the top of the menu that you can put in your coffee. So if I see that and I see the Baileys, the first thing I'll talk about is, where the hell is the Baileys thing gone? Like we need to bring that back. So it's funny how just saying what you feel, like unfiltered sometimes. I mean, there's a line, of course, depending where you are, but sometimes the unfiltered is it can be incredibly unique because everyone else is saying that, hi, how are you? Yeah, how's your day? Yeah, it's good. But you've always talked to me about this, about like these open-ended questions that are not yes or no answers, that you can go down a path and then try to get something a bit deeper than the surface level stuff that everyone's kind of bored with, basically.
Yeah, but what you're saying, using the environment to create connection, is really awesome, because if you're like, the Baileys used to be here, or even in the lineup, if you said, have you ever tried the Baileys in your coffee? Right away you are creating a connection using the environment. It's not weird. Instead of, so how are you, to a stranger, and they'll be like, who are you? Right? But if you ask something with the environment, like when I was in that lineup, there was this fireplace or fire pit in the middle of what it seemed like a garage. It just seems like out of place. And so I said to the people around me, so after I talked to one guy, I talked to another person saying, is this always here? Like, is this where the seating normally is? And so they were like, no, this is just, people stand around here normally. And so they explained to me how it worked. And so I used the environment to have an opening of a conversation. And I was curious, like actually interested, which is what you should be. Don't just randomly talk about weird stuff, right? I was really interested, but it created connection. So on that account, Edison, we'll just update you. We were talking about how to create social interactions with strangers, and using a simple technique like saying hi to people, or smiling on your walks, or waving when you're in the car. And then we talked about using the environment to spark conversations. And so if you notice something, you could say like, oh, have you been here before? Or is this where the seating normally is? Or you just ask a question about the environment. And you can also make jokes. I find that humor is a great, like once I was out of the bar and there was a picture of a fireplace.
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
Okay. Yeah, every so often I get Dave's, runners, because they're branded. He wants to show them off.
This is the first time I've got to use them.
Fire, and let's fire.
Yeah, they might rise suddenly, but.
So in this bar, there was this picture of a fireplace, and then they put this Christmas tree right in that corner, and I was like, I remember looking at it and saying, "Oh my God, is the tree going to get on fire?" To somebody I was standing. And so I had a joke from the environment, and we started talking because it was a stranger standing beside me. And at the same time, it's funny because there was people that were having a hard time creating that conversation. When they heard me say that, they used it with other people. So there was one guy who walked to a girl, and he's like, "Oh my God, the tree's going to go on fire," and then he sparked up a conversation. So you can totally copy people and use it with other strangers. It was really funny.
So on that note, kind of, it is really interesting how it doesn't have to just be a one-on-one thing. You can actually change the whole energy in the room. And I'm finally starting to understand that a little bit more these days. Of if I see shy people in the room, I kind of like bring them in to interact with other people in the room. So it's not like just about I want to connect with that person. Sometimes it's like how can I now up the energy in the room? And it's really interesting. And that's a lot of developing skills and awareness, self-awareness, and seeing where everyone's at and what they respond to. It seems like a never-ending thing to learn, but it's actually really mesmerizing when you start to learn the energy of the room.
Totally. And this is my background. So I've been teaching dance for 20 years. And there's a lot of different personality types that come and mix in dance. There's a lot of shy people, and there's a lot of extroverted people, because people are attracted to music and dancing. So I've had to learn how to navigate the different personality types, and also how to keep the energy of the room positive and welcoming and relaxed, because people don't learn in a tense environment. And so it's been interesting. So what I do sometimes in my dance classes, at the end of class, I bring the people in a circle. And when we used to be able to do in-person dance lessons, and I would say, well, what was one takeaway or a positive? And I would have to frame the question pretty open-ended. And I call these warm questions, so that people can take it anywhere, because the shy people are already, or the anxious people are already worried, like, what am I going to say? And if I ask specifically, like, what did you learn, in this hour, sometimes that it's like, I don't know if I learned anything. But if I say, like, where was a good moment that you had with somebody else, you can praise them now, or was there an aha moment for you, or what did you enjoy the most? And I ask these kind of open-ended questions and we go around the room, I haven't had not a single person ever say, I don't want to answer. Yeah. Everybody says one thing and it's usually insightful and it's connecting. And at the end, you know, people are all left with, yeah, I learned this, I learned that. And the circle is an important part of creating the energy. So standing, facing each other where you can see eyeballs to eyeballs is very important. And with that, I want to talk about a little bit about how to, in the beginning of this talk, we talked about a lot of people hide behind email and text message and messenger. And so you may start messaging someone. And how I work with connection and relationships is I try to get that interaction into the next level. So it just happened to me the other day. I met somebody on a group and I said, you know, they reached out about dancing and I wanted to interview them because they're my ideal client avatar. And so I said, let's connect private message. So that was the first step from a group environment to private message. They said yes, and so they private messaged me. And then what I did next is I made a video message next. Instead of text messaging saying, you know, well, what I would like to do is interviewing on Zoom. I just turned the camera on and talked to the camera, talked to them, and I said, hey, this is what I'm looking for. I want to interview you, and I would love to hear more about your story. And it was a 30-second video. Yeah. And then we ended up doing the Zoom, but in the Zoom, this client said, I really love that you did the voice message because right away I could tell the kind of personality that you are, and I felt like, yeah, I want to do this Zoom. So it was a warmer interaction, and if I would have just messaged him, then we would have probably gone back and forth and messaging for a long time and wasted a lot of time, whereas if you just share yourself a little bit more and put up video or get on a Zoom and you do, or, you know, then you're escalating, like you're leveling up the relationship connection from text message to eyeballs, maybe later to in person. In a dating situation, you may want to move it that way. Yeah. Instead of wasting hours on messaging each other, you can't tell the tone, you can't tell the kind of you know, body language, you can't tell the energy. Right? It's really
with text or anything like that. There's no vibe. Yeah, there's no energy. There really isn't. It's confusing.
Right. Yeah. And so people end up messaging each other for hours. I mean, you've told me like pages and pages. I've seen that, and I'm like, why are you wasting your time messaging? Just get to the next level thing. Send a video message and see what that sparks in the other person. Yeah. And for me, so I use it in business. I more likely send video thank yous and video messages than just email thank yous and so on. And even when people come into a course and they bought a course, I send them a thank you that's video with their names and I say thank you. Obviously, if you have 500 people, it's harder to do, but if you can just pick 10 people that you want to deepen the level of relationship, then you got to invest just a little bit more of yourself. And I always advise people to move towards the direction of warmth. And seeing your face and your eyes and your smile creates more warmth. And so that person, when we ended up doing Zoom, which was the next level that I would move towards, like, let's Zoom, you know, he already felt like he knew me. Yeah. You know? And even though if they didn't reply on a video, so they replied by text because they're still shy, like it still created a different level of connection when we did see each other on Zoom. Yeah. And it was so much faster than text messaging and messaging and messaging. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I've had that same experience, so I don't know how far I go into my dating lore, but yeah, let's hear all about it. Yeah, so you know, I've definitely had a look at online dating before, and it's immediately like, this is not my world. Like, I have friends that are super successful, and they're still together for years and years. So you know, I've seen it work, but I don't know, for some people it may work really well, some people it doesn't, but I find myself once in a while that, okay, well, I don't like the setup of online dating necessarily, because again, it's no like vibe or energy. Like, I'd love. Sorry, I hear some typing. Can we mute for now until we get everybody? When we ask questions, you can definitely ask questions. Yeah, thanks, Edison. Cheers, man. We'll come to you in a sec as well. Trying to remember what. That's not it. It's the ring. Oh no, it's just my fridge clicking. Oh, your fridge. It's not somebody typing. Gotcha. There you go. Yeah. So anyway, I've been on online dating before, and then when I have actually asked someone out,
Usually I delete the apps like very quickly afterwards. But when I have asked someone out, it's been exactly that. Like I don't chat for hours. I think back a few years ago, I did get sucked into the long chat, and then we went out, and I wasn't ready at that time anyway. So again, it was a complete waste of her time of interaction for weeks and weeks potentially, and then we finally go out. But the thing was, I didn't really want to go out in the end, so I was
hiding behind the text there.
Well, I wasn't in a position when I was ready. It was like not too far after my breakup, so I thought I wanted to explore this world, but realized I didn't want when we actually got in person. We had a great date. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, now when I have done it, typically if I did want to ask someone out, I would just say like, hey, something about in the spirit of action, like let's go on an adventure. Yeah. And I think that's about all I text, and then I had 3 or 4 people say, yeah, that sounds great, let's do it. And then we didn't connect in person in romantic way, like had great dates, but with skiing, with social.
I think that's really bold of you, and I think that's great because you'll filter out the people who are not bold, right? If you say, let's go on an adventure, like if I was receiving that, there's 3 different responses depending. One response would be like, I don't know you, what are you talking about? You know, and the second, another response could be like, what kind of adventure? You know, and just like, are you talking coffee, or are you talking like rock climbing? You know, and then the third response.
Get specific as well. Say like, how about snowshoeing on
that would be
Wednesday?
Great. Right. And so the third one, I would say, like, I mean, you could say yes without actually any detail, right? And I think if you do that bold action, you will filter people that are not at your vibration, or are not have the same values, which is important in online dating because there's so much waste of time. But even, let's say, if you're not that bold, I usually go in smaller steps. So if we have a relationship or somebody like I'm dating and I'm starting to text message, I will say something like, oh, I had to tell you something, it's just too long to text. And I leave it there open, and then they might say, oh, do you want me to call you? And I say, yeah, sure, call me. And so I leave it like, I want to tell you something, it's too long to text. And I just leave it there, and it's interesting. Like it's like bait, and they're like, well, we'll call you.
Yeah. And so even Julie's like, what do you want?
Yeah, this is brilliant. And then it's interesting. The ones that are interested in more interaction, they will say, I'll call you. And the people who are not, they'll be like, oh, just text me when you have time or something. And then I can decide, is that the level that I'm looking for? No, I'd rather talk on the phone, so I may move on from that person or something like that.
Yeah.
And it works. And it works. Actually, yes, my boyfriend says I did that to him, and it worked. He called me, and it was interesting. So then we were on the phone level of conversation, and phone tonality, like when you're talking to people and hearing their voices, you can assess a lot of the energy as well. So, and if I was dating in like a COVID world, after the phone interaction, I would say, let's get on Zoom so that we can see eyeballs to eyeballs.
I'm glad you just said that, because my thought popped into my head about COVID and how I was chatting to someone recently about this. It's really interesting because now it's just like eye-to-eye connection, and you don't even get to see the smile in most cases. So that's really, really interesting to me, because I've always, again, the kind of journey I've been on last 3 years of exploring and reading more about this.
You don't see people's smiles.
Yeah, so we're meeting people with eyes, and there's increased eye-to-eye connection, hopefully. Yeah. And it's really interesting to me. And I've actually, you kind of see that connection on a certain level, like you can feel it. Mm-hmm. And it's really powerful to me, because a few years ago, again, like the old Dave, I always talk about the old
Dave 1.0.
Yeah, I literally have a new version every year. That's try to step into. But the old Dave, I remember telling myself like a year ago, holy shit, I'm missing so much, because I was actually looking up when I go to Vancouver and seeing people, and everyone's trying to avoid you. Not everyone, but like 80-90% of people in the city are trying to avoid your eye contact as you walk down the street. Mm-hmm. And so now I deliberately try to catch people's eye contact, even though I can see them try to avoid it. Don't look at me. And I try and catch people now. And when I look up, is what I noticed is I realized how many people were actually looking at me before I looked back at them, and then they avoid. COVID?
Or
no, in general. In
general.
Years,
and now what about when you're walking with
COVID
and they have the masks? Are people making more eye contact?
Well, they will look first, and then when you respond and look back at them, then they look away. That's the way you do it. But my point was, I realized how much I used to be missing because I was always avoiding eye contact myself, like at no cost, try and look at someone in the eye. Because it's amazing how much I realized I was missing.
Totally. Yeah. And it's like, what's wrong with looking at people? Does it mean that you want to like sleep with them if you look at them for a sustained amount of eye contact? No, like, but I think people have troubles understanding like the different levels of connection that you can have and boundaries and how to put those. And you can be really friendly. And if somebody misunderstands or wants to further it and you don't, you just say, no, thank you, or that's really sweet, but I'm busy or doing something else. But, you know, there's ways to get out of it, but I think that because people don't know how to actually have these tough conversations or even like these rejecting conversations or things like that, or stop it at friendship, then they try to avoid the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we don't need to do that. And I think that's what we're talking about, connection secrets. How do we connect and just be friendly, and it's okay to do that. Do you guys have any questions, Julie?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Yeah.
Edison? If you do, please
raise what are some of your experiences in the connection world and challenges you've been through, challenges you've seen, or challenges for your clients or people you speak to? I know Edison has a lot of people.
He has a lot of challenges?
He has a lot of people he speaks to as well. So I'm sure you guys have got some really interesting stories around it.
We're friends now, right? Because we've been looking at each other's eyes for the last 20 minutes.
That's right.
So it's a safe environment
Even though you guys are tiny on the thumbnail.
Yeah, we can make them in gallery.
Anyone got any thoughts so far? You're muted, Julie.
Okay, am I unmuted?
Can we make the there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got a bigger version.
So I took down some notes. So this is really interesting. Now, I love the personalized video. That is so amazing. When I first started chatting on Facebook Messenger, and some people would send me a voice message, I would love it. Yeah. Like literally love it. But video messages, that's even better because it's personalized. So the way I feel about that is they took the time to actually do it. And it makes me feel special. It's very personalized. So I'm definitely gonna, I wrote this down. So that's amazing. The thank you with the video, I've never even thought about doing that ever. So that's so amazing. The smiling, yesterday I was in my car and there was some, like a father, and he was snowmobiling with his kids. His kids are in the back and they're going like this and they're waving at the cars. So I'm like driving and I'm waving at the kids. It was so great. The kids were smiling and they were so happy. In the car, my son will do that. He'll wave at people at the light, or he'll wave at all sorts of people and smile at them just to see people smiling back. Yeah. So I used to do that as a child, but I find that with COVID, people stopped looking at each other's eyes. People stopped interacting. And I wrote down a quote because I'm probably going to put it on Facebook later. You said, we don't have to be antisocial because of COVID.
Right.
Totally.
But we are.
But I've been thinking about this. There's a lot less people interacting with each other. So, you know, if you are looking to interact with someone, like now is almost like you're going to stand out if you actually make the effort to interact with someone. And if you can have the boldness and courage to do it through a mask, like you're going to stand out a lot.
Yeah. So what's happening with COVID is the mask is hiding our smile, and it's hiding the way we communicate. Right now, the only way we communicate is with our eyes. So I feel a lot of people I've come in contact with is they're actually not even making eye contact anymore. They're looking at the ground.
Yeah.
So they're afraid. It's as if they have something covering their mouth, so they can't talk, they can't smile. So it's really affecting the way people interact with each other. I think that's really good. Like you're onto something with saying we don't have to be antisocial because of the pandemic. And I think your message is so huge. People need to hear it. Yeah.
Thanks, Julie.
I love it.
Yeah, totally agree. Like, yeah, everything you talk about. So
it's amazing.
I love this subject so much. And I want to add as well, the TED Talk speaker, it's probably Vanessa
Van Edwards.
I think, it was her talk, and she was saying they did a study of the most popular TED Talks, and all of them had this one common theme that all the speakers were using their hands.
Interesting.
And so, yeah, your stuff clearly goes into body language and hands.
Oh, yeah.
But so if you're only, I think in the COVID world, if you've only got eyes, sounds weird, but if you just got these eyes walking around, but you don't. You have your vibe. You still have your energy. You still have the way you walk into a room, the way you open the door, and you have your hands. Right? There's so many things. We don't have our smile, which is interesting.
Well, we do have our smile. Nobody says you can't smile behind the mask, and if you do smile behind the mask, your eyes will smile too.
Yeah.
Which people forget. So, I teach clients to actually talk while they're smiling, and it is amazing because if I talk to you guys like right now like this, and I'm not using my smile as I talk, my tonality went down and the energy went down, and you will probably have different judgments that I'm still talking without a smile that you don't even know are affecting you about if I'm trustworthy and if you want to talk to me more. But if I actually talk to you with my smile, my tone of voice goes up and trust gets built just only because we are social creatures, and the smiling relaxes our nervous system, and we will mirror each other. So because I'm smiling as I'm talking to you guys, you are smiling without knowing. Like Julie's smiling, and she just pleasantly smile. But if I wasn't smiling, Julie might actually mirror image me.
You got Edison too.
Yeah, Edison smiles too. But if I wasn't smiling while I was talking, your mirror neurons will mirror me and not smile too. And so it's so interesting that smiling, in my opinion, is one of the fastest ways to be charismatic and magnetic and likable and trustworthy. And even with the mask, I still smile because then my eyes smile too. And so it's important to smile. I think we should not stop smiling. Actually, one of the tips I would give is to go on smiling walks. Then you go and smile as you're walking. And if you're outdoors, you may not have to wear a mask if you keep your social distancing and see how many smiles you get back.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And I love doing that with my kids. It's a game that they love doing, and it's really fun for them. And I know that it creates a good release of hormones and chemicals in the body that help you feel connected, and you don't have to talk to anybody.
Yeah,
right? Just
absolutely.
the simple thing of smiling.
Yeah. I know Edison had a point. He said he'd be right back in chat.
Oh, yeah. First of all, thank you for sharing, Nina. I love your energy. Woo! It definitely makes me wake up and take notice, so that's awesome. I really like what you said about doing video and voice messages to connect with people. At times, I did that for like a birthday, right? I'd actually sing really, it's like 30 seconds or a minute, right, to happy birthday song. But I find that helps in creating a deeper connection. And for me, actually, my number one value, overarching value of everything is connection.
Oh,
so,
it's amazing.
Yeah. So everything I do is kind of aligned with that. And one of the things I did pre-COVID was for a decent stretch of time, number of months, like 6 months, 9 months or something, I had a commitment where every day I would go out there and engage with at least 15 new people that I've never met before.
Oh, that's a big
That's awesome.
number.
Yeah, and so, through that, I had to learn how to engage with people and have them not think I'm a weirdo. And so everything that you shared at the beginning when I first popped on, I'm like, yeah, I just had to figure out ways to put people's guards down, because so many people are like, okay, why are you talking about it, right? But if you can do it in a way where it's, like you said, I really like what you say about humor or pointing something out that's obvious or what have you. I was able to connect. But for me, when I do, my focus really is, because I've done it so much, my focus really is on just trying to get to the conversation pretty deep, pretty quickly. Nice. And if somebody's not comfortable with that, obviously I'm not going to push it. I'll think, okay, they're not willing to go there. That's cool. Yeah. But what I find is I can get pretty deep pretty quickly with a lot of people within like 15, 20 minutes. Because I think like you said, a lot of people are craving that connection, right? But where do we go to have these authentic, deeper conversations. And when someone is comfortable and just talking about it, they really enjoy the conversation. It allows me to really create a connection quicker and find out, okay, is this someone that we should be connecting and staying in touch with, or can I just make them feel amazing for this one moment, and then hopefully it'll cheer up their day and the rest of the week.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'd like to share my second tip on how to make connection and how to move the conversations to a warmer state, or the interactions. And that would be to use vulnerability. So a lot of people, you ask a question, they ask you, how are you doing? And then you say, good, I'm doing good. How are you doing? I'm doing good. And I call that cool conversations. You're just cool, first of all, but they're also cold. Yeah. There's not much depth into them, and you really can't go anywhere with it because you already answered good. And so then that was a finite answer. And so what I do is, if I want to warm up that interaction, I actually share something more vulnerable. Not crazy vulnerable, like I have cancer, something like that, which I don't. But I'm more real with my answer. So if somebody says, "How are you?" I say the truth. I might be like, "Well, I actually just had a fight with my mom, and I'm thinking about it," something like that. Or I just share something more vulnerable. I remember I was at a coffee shop, and I think somehow you're doing the dance of the sugar, and you're like, "It's your turn, my turn." Anyways, and so I think I said something, and the person said, "How are you?" And I said, "I'm actually doing something scary today, so I'm thinking about that." And he was like, "Oh, what?" And I said, "Well, I'm pivoting my business to the right. I'm doing something scary." And then he started talking about, and we ended up having the whole coffee together and a whole conversation, where at the end he was like, "I'm encouraged to write my own book." And I was like, "You should," and it was very interesting. And that interact is a complete stranger, but it's because of how you choose to answer the question. Yeah. And I do that all the time. I share more of myself, and what happens is new friendships develop, and the people that want to connect will answer in a different way. So one time somebody said, "How are you?" And I was saying, "I'm feeling a little bit sad because I just talked to my mom and I had this interaction." And then the person said, "This deserves a phone call." And I was like, great, and we ended up becoming really good friends after that, because we were Facebook friends, and somehow we started chatting one day, and I decided to answer "How are you?" differently. Yeah. And now I have this, really great friendship out of that, because I didn't just be like, "I'm good." Yeah.
I love that.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, so vulnerability. Vulnerability would be another way that you can get more connection. But there has some limits. Like if you go too deep too fast, it actually will repel people. Like, "I don't know you, why are you telling me this?" And so you want to share. I usually share what's true in the moment that is appropriate, or a little bit more real, but within the boundaries of, if I say something to somebody, like, they won't run away or be like, "Oh, yeah." So it still has to be tactful.
Completely, yeah. And I think as well, like, different environments change. I was going to say change the game, but whatever it is, right? Different environments, like small town versus city, or even, let's be honest, like US versus Canada, like there's a lot more protecting yourself in US for pretty good reasons, right? Mm-hmm. Of strangers coming up and speaking to you, whereas like around here, you can say hi to anyone, anyone, and there's no problem whatsoever. So it could be different environments, like if you're at a fitness class. Mm-hmm. If you're in the gym, then people want to keep themselves to themselves. But if you're in a fitness class, it's now a social environment versus your gym time. Right. Could be at the theater, like everyone is open to talking about the play or the show they've just seen. So the environments are huge, I think, for changing how you can, how open the doors are to interact with each other.
Yeah, totally. And have you put a question to the group? How have you found creating new friendships after 30? Like, I hear that it's really, really hard. Have you guys had those experiences that it's not so easy to have new friends? Like when you were 12, you had friends and you're like friends forever. How has it been to create friendships after 30 or after 30?
Yeah, it's a little more difficult. I just find because
I don't know. It's over 30. I'm 40, so
Yeah, I'm over 30. He's how old? How old, Dave?
I just look 29.
Well, his left leg is 29.
But yeah, I just find it more difficult for sure when you're over 30, just simply because people are busy. They're busy with either kids, family, or, you know, if you're single and then they have a family, it's just harder to connect with them. But I find, like, I keep my circle small. After I found out that you are the 5 people you spend the most time with, I really keep my circle small and connected. And I want to make sure that those people actually, whether they're close or far, that they're inspirational people, right? And it doesn't mean that they need to be connected closely, that they need to be living in the same area as me, right? So I can connect with them on Zoom, on Facebook, by Messenger, but I definitely keep my circle tight. And I have a lot of close friends, but it's tight. Like in person, it's a lot harder. I don't have a lot, but like the pandemic, that's a thing. It really set us, yeah, it's difficult because right here, like we're total lockdown. We're stay at home right now since Christmas. We're in February. It's difficult, right? Only single people can go and visit another single person, or a single parent can go and visit another single parent, but it makes it so much more difficult. But yeah, I'm looking for tips and tricks to just connect in person with other people, because I think I'm not the only one. I think there's a lot of people, like so many people are connecting on Facebook Messenger, and I'm a high achiever and I'm super busy. So I tend to attract in my field people that are high achievers, entrepreneurs, business people, authors, all sorts of people like myself, right? But connecting in person for me, I need tips and tricks on that.
Well, so during the pandemic, I just use the normal environment, like what I do in my day. So I don't go out of my way to find people to connect in person. So if I'm going to the coffee shop, I just connect to the coffee shop. If I'm going to the grocery store, I'll connect to the grocery store, at the bank. One of the things that I use to navigate to create more connection is kindness. So I'll do an act of kindness, and even opening the door for someone will create an interaction that I could further it if I want to with another conversation. But I tend to open the door a lot for people, which is funny. Like even the other day, there was a UPS guy, and his he was a cart with tons of boxes, and he was crossing the street and it fell over. And so I drove by, and then I stopped and I come out. And I think he was weirded out that I would come help him with his boxes. But I did, because I'm like, you're in the middle of the road, but also like, this is kindness that I feel like just helps. And if you make it a habit, it helps that you'll just be kind everywhere. And when you want to create connection, it's easy. If you don't do these things, then, you know, I've had those moments where I'm like, oh, should I say something? And then you're just kind of battling with yourself because you just don't have the habit of being comfortable with doing something like this. And so you have to practice, and you have to do what Edison did, the commitment of just, I'm going to do this. And so I often pay the next person's coffee, and sometimes the people will come and find me wherever I am. If I'm standing at the corner waiting for my friend or whatever, or sitting having my coffee in the park, if they see me, they'll find me, and then we'll have this conversation. And so I think just wherever you are living your life, if you add kindness and smiling and just be available to start some kind of conversation with a comment about the room or about the situation or about a question like, have you used this olive oil before? Then then you will have interactions. And this is, again, not about dating. It's just about human contact and leaving it at that. So many times I never get the people's names or phone numbers, and they don't get mine. We just have a conversation and then we say goodbye, And sometimes sometimes great friendships come out of that.